So let's begin with the first one. And Toby and I are just going to go back and forth here. So what was something for you, or what was the most powerful thing that you got in touch with? What was powerful and effective in this class for someone? Yes? Debbie.
Getting to know others from different faith communities and seeing how our beliefs, particularly around climate crisis, mesh.
If others have similar ones, they can say ditto that and go on to another one. But so, Debbie, thank you.
There's a lot of dittos on that one.
Pardon me? Sparkle fingers works well too. Okay, good. All right, so that seems like lots of folks.
So just the urgency.
An extension of that is what I felt, if you think back to that hot September night, it was really quiet. It was really quiet in here. I felt like we've really begun to trust one another as a small community.
Good. So level of trust amongst us. John.
Just the urgency of the no, which, I know it's urgent, but this really brought it home 3 or 4 months. On the no, I mean weeks. It seemed to go on for a long time. And you could have gotten it down, but you knew there was something coming that gave you hope. That there was something.
So was that painful? Was it were we overly dramatic, or was it painful?
No, it's just reality. It's just the way it is. I didn't think they were over dramatic myself. I'm much more dramatic myself. So, no, you guys didn't overdo it. It's just that hard path.
Okay, I heard some yeses.
Yeah.
Why? Can somebody put some voice to the yes?
For me, it was too strong of economic analysis. I felt like I was back in some people focused all the time on Marxist analysis. So this was not a Marxist analysis, but it was all economic all the time. And I could have done a couple days less of that.
Okay, somebody else who was, yes?
I became very aware of how debilitating fear is, and how whenever it got to a certain point, it shut down. Stopped listening, it was just too much. So,
Is that only an artifact of this class, or does that fear get broadcast in other ways for you? Outside of the class?
The class brought it up to the surface. I'm constantly on information overload, and then when I came here, there was information overload on something that I was already scared. I was already afraid when I walked in the room. So it didn't take long before it tipped me over, saying, okay, I'm kind of stuck again. And it took a while to come back, with the latter part of the class, the second yes, and those kinds of things. But it seemed like it was the center part. I felt stuck because I was afraid.
That's from a part of the process. We bring it back to the addiction piece where we're making the analogy where you have to hit bottom. And in a way, I think that's the very intention of this, that you actually do want people to realize that you are going to hit bottom, and once you've hit bottom, there's no other way but up. But to get up, you first actually have to realize that you're down and that you've tied in a certain system. And I think it is necessary to understand what the system is and what the captivity system is and our role in it.
Alice.
Some of us hit bottom a lot faster than others. And some of us have already been to the bottom and are coming up. So some attention to the fact that there was at the beginning a big disparity in how ready people were to move from one thing to another, I think is really important. For me, it was too many weeks of saying, so when are we going to talk about the second yes? And, we'll talk about that next week, only we didn't. And for me, that was very difficult because I can get stuck down in there really easily, and I have to spend my psychic energy well in order not to be stuck. and depression.
So the psychic energy took its toll. Okay, Heather, and then, did you want to add to
No,
that
I'm just
after? It's
giving
okay,
her
good. Okay, so this is,
Sparkle fingers.
good. Heather.
So I guess in terms of improvement, I was thinking this during the first couple of sessions, it would have been helpful to me to have some kind of introductory conversation, grouping people, not according to congregation, but according to what are you feeling right now? What have you learned before coming to this class? What are your specific interests regarding being in this class? What do you not, I mean, it's gonna be all one class, but knowing like who to go to, who's on my level, who still needs a little more time.
So what
Even
is
just like a quick 30-minute thing in the first session.
gauging where people are? What I'm hearing is, one of the things is gauging where people are at the beginning and at different points along the way, it sounds like.
Connect earlier, connect as a group earlier, or get to know participants better. Or?
No, it's gauging where they are in their climate understanding, in their understanding of the know. Do you want to clarify?
I want to build on that. I have a radical proposal for you.
Okay. I would expect nothing less.
What if this class was not participatory only in the sense that we have participatory exercises, but what if we all participated in shaping the goals, analysis, and content of the course? And it could start with something like Heather just thought I was going to lose it, but I got it in the end. That like Heather just suggested, but like ideas that I was brainstorming were. So one of the things I wrote down about the aspects that were most powerful were the way that you self-evaluated every day. I learned so much from that, and I actually think that might be the piece that that is most influential on me going forward. That model. But what if instead of only evaluating instructional goals, we also evaluated whether students are meeting their goals in each class? Or what if the class was built around students using the practices for awakening leadership within their teams to learn and grow? Or what if you even use one-on-ones as like the main teaching medium for the class to explore every topic?
So, and that may work for some better than for others, but yeah.
Well, these are my
Right.
out of the box ideas.
Okay. Okay. Good. John, did you want to add?
I was just gonna say, I can remember one of the classes where somebody brought that very topic up about gauging where people are and questioning whether everybody should have to agree with what John Kevin says. Some people are on a different page, some people think it's not that bad or whatever, but I remember that did come up.
More on this before we switch. Yes.
I don't know what topic it falls under, but I really liked when Toby brought up Germany and what's going on there. And I would have liked more examples of places that have seen some progress with energy stuff. And maybe even just different systems, like if they're, I don't know, I would be interested in like Cuba or systems that aren't operating on a for-profit motive, if they've had any success with climate change or just done differently.
So more in the way of positive examples of progress or folks working on stuff. And again, I saw some dittos there. Good.
Just like maybe a piece on environmental racism and who in our communities is most affected by ecological destruction. Would have been useful for them.
Okay. You get that one? Ecological racism and who in our community. Getting lots of agreement there.
Yeah, and also just incorporating oppression in general into the picture of the no.
We thought that really would have bummed everybody out if we would have gone too far that way, but you're absolutely right. Liz, what were you going to say?
I'm still on the positives too.
Sure, that's okay.
I was thinking, for me, my biggest takeaways are, the self-evaluation. I appreciate the international examples a lot also. And then I did appreciate the emphasis on one-to-one meetings and relational, the relational basis for organizing. That's a real model that I have as examples in his work. I felt at times that it was a little belabored, but I also appreciated that's one of the takeaways.
Uh-huh.
You did a really good job making that creating examples and models.
Okay, let's hear from somebody who we haven't heard from, and then we'll come back around.
I very much appreciated the concept of the sacred encounter. That was for me, that's not just what you would use in climate change, et cetera, but I think that's a holistic approach to life.
So the one-to-one encounter is not unique just to this class in climate change. As Liz was saying, it is a core fundamental part of making a difference in building community, in being in community. So so it fits all those places. Yes. Oh, that was just, okay.
That's what I was trying to say, but that's maybe.
Okay. Cecil.
So for me, the most powerful piece was the one that Sophie did on her own relationship to addiction. And I would have liked to have seen, we all, the church team knows that wasn't planned exactly that way, but I would like to have seen in the follow-up on how we are all part of that addiction and where that shows up, so that we could relate to the whole process of recovery.
So one of my hopes, because we didn't do that, but one of my hopes is that that's a self-analysis that we all will do over time. Some may have already been doing that, some may be starting to do that, but I hope we all continue to do that, is to understand how we're complicit and how we're addicted to or captive within, because understanding that more from each of our own perspectives, our families or whatever, is going to help us in the long uphill path of trying to find a way out of the current situation. And it's going to take that, and it's going to take it from each of us. So yes.
One of the most powerful impacts on me was the spiritual grounding each week and the variety of the spiritual grounding.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, I don't know whether it was serendipitous, but it sort of started out real quiet that first week. And the dancing together last week was like, wow, how could you have planned that any better? It was so awesome. There we were finally holding hands, dancing around together. It was fabulous. And just the closing in general each week gave me time to settle down before I had to drive home.
I would like to emphasize that variety of spiritual grounding. I found that very nice.
Okay.
I don't want this to get lost. I loved the Mandela piece in the sanctuary where we were breathing together. That was the first time I felt really connected to a single human being in here that I did not already know. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's that?
No, that was just a heck yeah.
Okay. Please.
Let's see if I can put this well. I think one thing that, now that we're talking about the spiritual grounding aspect and the story of the enslavement and the relationship to that to the Bible, one of the things I think that I was hoping would be a part of this class would be that at some point our involvement in a faith community also needed to take a deep look at the theology at the heart of our faith communities that could support, deepen, or encourage the eternal yes around the environment. And also to look at what's embedded in that that's causing the continued addiction in our faith communities to not feel that sense of connectedness, though we say we are all one and we're connected, but there wasn't a chance to peel open that extra layer of why we are separate, yet we are together.
So we only have 10 weeks, and we only have 2.5 hours each night, but you're absolutely right. And my hope is that is a kernel of something that you will take forward because you're putting voice to it within your faith-based community. Perhaps others will do that as well. This is something, as you know, some people have taken this class several times, it's not like remedial, it's just there's that feeling. There's that growth of our own exploration. That growth, and so I've been an organizer since 1995, and I continually do more to get in touch with my story. What I get, and that happens oftentimes in an individual meeting that I have with somebody else, I get something from them that wakens something about my story that I haven't been in touch with. And so that unfolding, that peeling, we are like a lotus blossom in that way, and there are many, many petals. So yeah.
Michael,
Yes.
that brings up one of the things that I was recommending for improvement on this do you all have capacity to do organizing in the Biocommons 2.0 that would be the next
So we've been talking about that.
expansion?
We've been talking about that, and hearing that, you know, yes, we've been talking about it. We've been thinking about it. We've also been thinking about, is there a way to break the training up so that you get the polis, you get the, you know, some of the core just organizing pieces before we overlay it with climate. With that, you know, but do you want to? How many classes do you want to take? We'd let you know. Yes, we definitely think there's room for that, and it is under consideration.
Well, and I would just say that, that 2 times ago, this class was 42 hours long, and it was much deeper in all these aspects that we're talking about. So it's been that, and
the feedback was it was too long.
well, it was pretty hefty for everybody.
Our hair used to all be that top color. But
And yours used to be black, right?
I used to have hair, right? This is only my second time of teaching the class or participating in the class, so I'm still one of the newbies, I think.
So this will make it worse. What if you took it on the road and went to MACG communities? Because they already have the base of MACG and the one-on-ones and relational meetings and put out this piece.
So it's a great concept, a great idea, and to do that, as you can imagine, we're going to need a lot more teachers. So yeah, so great. As we say in Jewish tradition, from your mouth to God's ears.
I'm just wondering if there's a way to, like, we've spent 10 minutes together, like quarterly meetings, or is there a way, like this group, like, so what have we done, or, you know, here's what I commit to
So
doing
that's part
with
of
my,
the next steps that we talked about.
yeah.
That's a
Last week we
request.
touched
Yeah,
on,
that's-
okay.
that's a
Yeah, but,
request.
So-
you know, commit to, like, here's what I'm gonna try, or, I mean, I know we have emails and whatever, but it's.
Like
just,
different
you know,
reconnect and reassess, or?
Yeah.
connecting, or just like,
Periodically.
Update.
like doing or you sign up for a year-long program, and you meet for 4 weeks, and then you have, you know, it's an expectation that you're gonna do whatever, you meet again for 1 week a month, is cool, I mean,
Once a month.
or, you know, every quarter, or whatever it is, but, you know, and you finish it out, so how's the ES going for you, and what have you come up with, or?
So in thinking about that, one quick second, thinking about that, my hope is, because at least this is how I take this, is there's work I need to do on me, there's work I need to do within my community, there's work I want to do among these communities, and there's work I need to do in the greater out there where there is no community. And
Oh, yeah.
as Neil Young was saying, who's going to stand up to the machine, which is another whole different aspect of this. So there's a lot there. Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah,
the answer
yeah,
to that is yes.
Yes, I mean, so taking it on the road, right, so John and I could go back to Mission of the Atonement and do this potentially, right? I mean, we could be the road show, John.
Well, that's lead road show. We'll need some groupies.
Yeah, he's all
Roadies,
over
please.
it now.
One of the
Roadies, not groupies. Be careful, be careful. They spread more than that, though.
Pull us back, Toby.
Trying. No, but one key aspect that we're trying to encourage is, obviously, this is the first time that we actually have people sign up within faith communities. That you always needed to have a team. And our goal, obviously, is that all of you take back what you've learned into your communities, and that's how you have this thing grow. So I think more importantly than reconnecting is good, but reconnecting should be on how have we stepped up within our faith community.
Right, well, I mean,
You know, and
something
that's
that-
the key piece, because that's how we grow the capacity that we've been talking about, and
I
that's
agree,
the goal.
But it's also the accountability piece, right? If
Yeah.
you're coming back in 3 months
Bingo.
to say, wow, I didn't do anything, or wow, here are the things I did, and or here's what I ran into, what did you run into?
Yep. Right. Well, one of the goals, it doesn't say when we get to the next part is, what's the goals for the day? I'm not very good at turning tonight. There you are. Yeah. Where it says to not only name, but the claim piece. I mean, it's easy enough to say something, but the actual doing, where you want to be held accountable, where you set yourself a goal, it's something you want to claim. And that's ideally what would happen. Like if we were to reconnect and reassess, all of a sudden, hopefully the different communities would have come up with first steps of action.
Right. Yeah.
So we have 1 more minute, probably less than that now, but I'm going to take 1 more minute. And hold on, the one thing we haven't gotten to are what's still left, what concerns, what questions are still left. And this can be just shout outs and throw it out. Yes?
I want to develop more engaging strategies beyond information, to pull people in, to get them connected even though it's fearful stuff. Film, art, music,
Engaging strategies.
dialogue, what has worked, those sorts of things.
Good, thank you. What else?
Yeah, on that, how can I connect this to my theologizing in the Bible? Like, we didn't talk too much about eco-theology or anything like that.
So how do we connect it to our theology? So more connections to our theology. I would ask, first of all, some of the learned pastors in this group to help with that, maybe even within your church, to challenge, not that you're the only repository, but you may help facilitate that coming out quicker, but that would be great. And what else did we not achieve?
We could work more deeply on telling our stories.
That's one of the reasons why we want to why my suggestion is to pull that out, because our stories are long and complex, and the part of it that's related to this yes, no, yes is important, but there's other parts of our stories, if you haven't practiced that, so good, yes.
Well, and ideally those would come up in intentional relational conversations as well. That's what you tell stories about.
Could I
Yes,
just
please.
add quickly something to that? I didn't make it to all these meetings, but the spiritual grounding things often to me felt like they were a presentation. They were a reading from the Bible, they were a video, they were an intellectual discourse about something. And where can we insert the stories into the spiritual grounding so that it is actually on the ground here with us instead of an intellectual concept? Because intellectual concepts open spiritual grounding for some of us.
Right.
So more on the spiritual level, that's fine.
Yeah.
More on the personal experience level.
What's an example?
Stories and spiritual
Like the one we did with the stick and the rock.
Spiritual
And
grounding.
Well, I wasn't here for the stick of the rock, so that's why I said I wasn't here for all of that.
That would really
But,
be deep.
you know, watching a video for 20 minutes is not a spiritual experience for me. Maybe it is for other people. But,
One more, and then I think we need to move on tonight, but one more, and then I'll wrap this up.
So I need a whole other course on organized mediating communities.
Yep, that's what the vaccine would be, yes.
And I just want to reflect what I keep hearing back from you, Michael, is so a lot of this class has been receiving an interpretation of reality, one that's been prepared by the over time through this course. And you keep saying, well, now you reinterpret that reality, but you do it extracurricular because we don't have time to do that in the course. But I would really like a chance to do that together.
Mm-hmm. So perhaps we could do that, like Leilani is suggesting, at some of when we come back together, that be part of perhaps what we do, or maybe that be a focus.
I want to tag on just really quickly. For me, the homework reading needed to have some personal sharing time, not a rehash by people standing up front.
Yep.
It was like, well, why did I bother reading it? They're going to say it again.
We're going back to 42 hours though. But so yes. So I want to bring this to a conclusion only to say that there's much more here in this group. And we are going to be inviting you, we are inviting you to come together next week from 7 to 9 p.m., the 11th class, we promised the last one in this series, where it's just going to be dedicated to evaluation. We're not going to go through the whole process that we went through. it's going to be and you'll hear more about it tonight, an evaluation opportunity. It'll be here again. If you're so motivated, we would love to have, and as you think more about this over the week, jot down notes, we would love to have it. If you can't make it, we'd love to receive that input from you electronically, but we'd also really especially love to receive that from you live and in person. And we have your emails. We don't necessarily know where you live, but we will be getting in touch with you.